Mrs. Irene Obum-Neme, a pregnant woman and the wife of Stephen Obum-Neme Nwosu, who was allegedly shot dead on Valentine's Day around Amufi Junction along Benin Agbo Road in Benin City, the Edo state capital, has cried out to well-meaning individuals and civil society organizations to help her prevail on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, and the 4th Brigade of the Nigerian Army to bring the suspected murderer of her husband to justice, stating that she has no knowledge if the soldier who allegedly committed the murder is actually being prosecuted, saying, till date, the family has no information about the identity of the alleged killer or any legal action taken by the military authority to make the killer soldier face full wrath of the law, adding that the corpse of her husband has been in the mortuary since the incident occurred on February 14, 2026, because the family believed if the husband is buried, they may never get justice and the case may be swept under the carpet. The bereaved pregnant woman made the appeal in a 21-minute video made available to us fortnight ago after we had earlier reported that the family of Stephen Obum-Neme Nwosu has accused the armed forces of Nigeria, AFN led by General Olufemi Oluyede, the Nigeria Chief of Defense Staff, of attempted acts to cover up a soldier who allegedly murdered a young man, Stephen Obum-Neme Nwosu, on February 14, 2026, Valentine's Day, along Benin Agbo Road around Amufi Junction in Edo State. This, according to the family member who pleaded for her names not to be mentioned in the press, said her brother was shot dead by the soldier after the deceased refused to hand over his car key to the soldier as demanded, saying, her brother only went out with his friend, she identified as Godwin Coco, to get chicken feed when they encountered the soldier at the failed portion of the road that is currently under construction, saying, the Nigerian army has refused to disclose the names of the soldier who allegedly committed the act of murder or take appropriate lawful actions against the suspected murderer. And in a swift reaction, when our reporter contacted the public relations officer of 4th Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Captain Kennedy Anyanwu, via a phone call on Thursday evening, the military authority said it is not true that the soldier in question has not been identified, saying, the matter has been settled. And when our reporter demanded to know how the alleged murder case was settled with the family, the military authority refused to give details. Also, when our reporter contacted the Edo State Command of the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Officer, ASP Noakodum, the police authority said the matter is under investigation and there is no way such matter can be swept under the carpet. According to the bereaved pregnant woman, eyewitnesses said after her husband was shot and was in the pool of his blood, the killer soldier wanted to abandon him, but the people around prevailed on him, and that was when the soldier decided to take the victim to the hospital, and the bereaved family was later told by an officer that her husband was pronounced dead at the hospital, but she and the family believe the officer is lying because, according to her, when the bereaved family visited the hospital barely a day after President Donald Trump of the United States of America, the USA announced the killing of Abu Bilal al-Minuki, the second in command of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, ISIS, in a joint operation with Nigeria soldiers in Borno State. A new video of the abducted 416 women and children in Boko Haram captivity has been released, in addition to a gory video earlier released by the terrorists wherein they beheaded almost 6 men who the insurgents said tried to escape among the kidnapped victims. This had led to public outcry and demonstrations, but according to Punch newspaper, protesters are reportedly denied the rights to protest in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, saying, the army reportedly deployed tanks and heavily armed personnel to Filling Polo, the venue of the recent planned protest, forcing the demonstrators to withdraw, quoting Sumela Kaigama, leader of the protesters, as saying, the atmosphere created by the military deployment made it impossible for citizens to continue with the demonstration, that the development is deeply disturbing in a constitutional democracy, It may be recalled that we had reported that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria may have kept mute since more than 48 hours. A faction of the Boko Haram terrorists showed off 416 people, mostly women and children, kidnapped and held hostage when the members of the Jama'atu Ali Sunnah Liderawati wal Jihad, JAS, launched a large-scale combat actions between 4th to the 6th of March 2026 against the men of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, overran the Africa country military base at Ngosh, killing several soldiers, a figure the Nigeria Authority disputed to be 14 after several reports indicated that more than 40 soldiers were killed during the attack, in addition to more than 100 civilians including Chief Imam of Ngosh alongside the community elders killed during the coordinated attacks that lasted days at Ngosh community in Gwoza local government area of Borno State. During the attacks, numbers of people were also taken hostage by the insurgents, with speculations indicating that the hostages are apparently being held at the rugged terrain of the Mandara Mountains, which sit wide across the Nigeria border with Cameroon. In the released video, one of the spokespersons of the Boko Haram group said they decided to release a proof-of-life video of the 416 women and children in their captivity, following the demands made across to them by the Borno South Youths Alliance, Bossia, and according to the statement issued by the Bossia when they made the video public on Friday, April 10, 2026. The youths group called on federal government and governments at all levels to ensure the hostages are released, saying specifically that, "We have witnessed cases in states such as Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, and Kebbi where abducted victims regained freedom following interventions by individuals such as Sheikh Ahmed Gumi. We therefore expect equal urgency and commitment in addressing the plight of the Ngosh victims. No region or group of citizens should be treated with less priority." In one of the recent videos sent by the Boko Haram terrorists to the Borno Youths group, the group said, "It may not be wrong to say one of the major root causes of crimes, poverty, poor healthcare, suicides, killings and avoidable deaths today in the world is superstitious beliefs mixed with severe psychological manipulation, religious and spiritual delusions that often lead to family members abandoning their loved ones, especially their parents for fear of being bewitched, doomed or suffered from the delusional curse or spell superstitiously believed had been placed on their parents or loved ones, and this act, do also lead to the accused family members committing suicides or being banished, beaten, or even killed by jungle justice, and in line with the numerous cases documented globally and locally, we have seen where individuals have committed murder or caused death due to acute spiritual delusions, which in psychiatry, these are often diagnosed as cases of religious psychosis, schizophrenia, or clinical lycanthropy, where the perpetrator cannot separate objective reality from spiritual hallucinations. This may interest you to know that in August 2025, at Atwood Lake in Ohio, United States of America, USA, an Amish mother obviously suffering from a severe spiritual delusion, drowned her 4-year-old son in Atwood Lake. Investigators revealed that both she and her husband believed God was speaking directly to them, demanding ritualistic tasks to prove their worthiness, and as such, she explicitly told the police that the Lord wanted her to perform the sacrifice. This may not also be different from the case of a 22-year-old Nigerian and an engineering student named Benjamin Abenem, whose life seems to heavily revolved around his church, who suffered a sudden psychiatric break in 2025 after his family initially mistook his erratic behavior for a standard demonic attack rather than a medical issue, allegedly driven by the delusion that his mother and sister were witches spiritually plotting to destroy him. He, as a result of that, attacked his family, resulting in the death of his mother, but he was later diagnosed with schizophrenia under clinical custody. It may be recalled that one of the most famous historical cases of spiritual psychosis in the United Kingdom, UK, was the murder of Robert Dadd in 1843 by his son. The English artist, Richard Dadd, stabbed his father to death on account of a delusion that his father was actually the devil in human form, and that he had been chosen by God to battle the forces of evil. This act made him to spend the remainder of his life in psychiatric facilities, and in 2008, a passenger inside a Greyhound bus in Canada Vince Lee killed a stranger, Tim McLean. Lee claimed that the voice of God told him McLean was an alien or a demon, and that if he did not kill him immediately, the man would come back to life and kill everyone else on the bus. And one of the most recent cases of crimes caused by superstitious beliefs occurred on Friday, the 9th of May 2026 at Umuazili area of Awo Omama community in Oru East local government area of Imo State when Michael Akujiobi killed his uncle and two other elderly people on the ground that they were the evil forces behind his misfortunes and problems in the family. The suspected murderer, who said he returned from Lagos State to his country home in 2018 to wage war against spiritual forces so that his father's name wouldn't go.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.